About this love. About this. About this love. About this love. Love. About this. About this love. About this love.
If you're listening to this, you just hit play on the About This Love podcast. My name is Sherelle, and I'm sitting here with my husband, Dale.
What's up? What's up?
And we're the hosts on this platform. We're coming to you from the Baltimore area. So today we're sitting down and talking about your worth.
Which is a great topic in relationships. Oftentimes, I don't think that when couples get together, they actually take time to discuss each other's worth, or even if one of the other one of the individuals in the relationship, just say, hey, babe, let me sit down and talk to you about my worth. I just don't think that's often conversations that come up in a relationship. Now, I'm sure that there are some that discuss it, but even in a friendship, just on a basic level as a friendship, oftentimes I don't think people understand or talk about that to their friends. I think that parents, it may be common amongst relationships amongst parents, mothers and fathers,
with their
fathers
children?
and daughters, and with the mother and the son, because I remember when I was young, my mom told me that she always thought that I would be an incredible person as I got older, and I would do great things. And for me, it was letting me know that she saw my worth as a child.
So she built up your image of your self-worth.
Yeah. She built up my esteem,
Yeah, okay. That's a better word, esteem. So, how do you do you go on the date and you sit down in this fancy restaurant and you're like, okay, we're going to do this thing, but this is what I'm worth, 20 mil. No, not that kind of worth.
That's funny.
No,
if you're rich, then yeah.
Depending on who you're talking to, it's almost like, yeah, so my net worth is, like I said, 20 mil. You matching that or what? But no, I feel like it is a tricky, sticky conversation, because it's like, well, how do you tell someone that you may just have low self-esteem and you need to build that up? Because when you're entering into a relationship, oftentimes it's kind of like, I'm trying to come here with my best foot forward, my best outfit. I have no blemish or mark on me. I'm this perfect person. I'm the perfect candidate to be invited into your life.
Well, two things. One, a couple of years ago, I actually wrote a poem about worth. And one of the things that I said was that even people with net worth feel worthless, and I think no amount of physical possession or material things or money can give a person worth, and two, I think that when getting in a relationship with somebody, oftentimes people have because of the things that people do in relationships, a lot of that is because they feel like they have no worth.
What do you mean? Like, so going back right quick, you said because somebody do a lot of things. What do you mean? Or you mean like have or try to put a front up with material things?
No. Yes, and no. What I mean is that oftentimes we've all known people to be in relationships with somebody, whether it's a friend, a cousin, a sister, a homeboy, and the person cheating or treating them like crap. It's like, well, why are they still with him? Because they don't even understand their own worth. It's like, when you understand your worth, then you won't tolerate anything than what they can give you. It's like, hey, I know what I'm worth. I want a man who's respectable, can open the door for me, can love me unconditionally, can say kind words to me when I'm feeling down, not someone that's gonna, verbally abuse me or physically abuse me or emotionally abuse me. That's what I mean. It's like, because oftentimes, how many women have you known who were ex-friends or friends who have been in a relationship with somebody who's cheated on them? They they got caught cheating and they still with him. Like, dude, why are you still with him for? This is like his third, fourth time cheating because they don't understand their value, their worth. Now,
wait a minute. Can I pause you on that right quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so let's go back. After saying that, let's go back to the date. That I said earlier.
I was going there before you interrupted me. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well,
go ahead, though.
I see where you were going, but I just wanted to interject. So on this date, we sit down at the table. We just got our appetizers served, and we've already established that we're going somewhere. This is serious. How do you bring it up? Like, how does the conversation come up?
Is this the first date, second date, third date?
No.
Date?
I told you, so picture us already established. This is, you're going to be the person on my arm. I'm showing you off to my friends and family. And then it's kind of like, I don't like that you talk to me that way. And I just want to let you know that I'm not going to tolerate anything less than respect or less than kind words. And, what would be an appropriate, practical way that you can start up that conversation? Because with people with low self-esteem or even people with high self-esteem, it's still one of those things where you don't want to be rejected almost.
Okay. I'm glad you asked that. I know years ago, one of my close friends, they told me that they grew up, when they grew up, the father was very verbally abusive. So when she got married, she said that she told her husband that in their marriage there will be no yelling or bass in the voice, like yelling at each other or screaming at each other because of
in an argument.
Exactly, because of when she was a child, she had to endure that from her father, and I guess psychologically and emotionally she would just shut down. So I think that first you have to go to this person's past and see, what did he get that from, or what did he or she get that from. But as of today, I know them. I know for almost 10 years now. They in their marriage, they do not yell or scream at each other. Now I'm pretty sure. I mean, they might get stern and be like, "Well, what did I say?" Or "I said no." I mean, but that's different than saying "No, shut up." That's different than being stern and firm, and a tone is different than yelling and screaming. So I think that just to give you, just to answer your question, that was something that she dealt with as a child, and coming to her marriage, she had to let her husband make him aware of that, so that if they got into a discussion and he screamed and she shut down, what's going on? Why are you talking to me? No, that's not how I communicate.
Yes, okay, but how do you bring it up though? I'm a person who, I'm on this date. This is getting real. How do you bring it up? I think that's really hard for a lot of people. I know when you and I first got together, I won't say first got together, but started hanging out and started courting.
Our first date.
I guess, because, you told me that what our first date was different from, in my mind, what our first date was. So we have different things about that. But no. So when you and I got together, I think because we pursued a friendship for a long time, we already had that openness about, I'm not going to tolerate anything less than this. You're not going to tolerate anything less than that. And so the person who I'm going to be with is going to have to meet that standard. But, I'm sorry.
Well, I just want to interject and say also, it was the way we carried ourselves as well. A lot of the way you carry yourself has a lot to do with that as well. Because I remember when my mom met you, she said that she thought you were a very conservative woman. I was like, well, what do you mean by that, Mom? She said, well, she doesn't dress like a woman who's loose or that's out there, trying to be promiscuous. I said, oh, wow. And just, that's something that I hadn't observed, or I've observed it about you, but I didn't really pay attention to it. Like, okay, well, she always wearing long sleeve with turtlenecks. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? I still thought you were cute and hot. So but
she likes to be warm. So
yeah, but from a woman's perspective, but when my mom said that, it let her know as a mother that the way you carried yourself was that of a woman with respect, not like with like short skirts and butt popping out. It's like, or breast popping out of the shirt. It's like, no, you carried yourself in a respectable and honorable way, so that anybody that approach you would have to know that, hey, I know my worth and I have worth. So if you approach me, come correct or step back. You know what I'm saying? And I just happened to come correct. You know?
Okay. Right. So, I mean, like, I get that part. So one, you're saying it could be in the way that someone dresses. But let's say you're already in a marriage, you're already in a long-term relationship, you're already committed to somebody. And not that you didn't have respect before, but they're getting comfortable. You know, you're getting familiar and they're starting to show, I don't know, things that would have turned you away from someone else, but you're already committed. Your family's involved. You guys are already married. It's like, for me, I think that guys don't realize that I feel like guys don't realize that they don't really carry themselves as well. You know what I'm saying? They need to also carry themselves with respect as well. So not just when you approach me as a male that I need to carry myself a certain way or you'll respect me, but in a relationship, we still need to respect each other. And it's not just what I'm wearing that should dictate to you the type of person that I am, because it could just be a really cold day and I could be bundled up from head to toe. And that's the day that we happen to meet. So then what? You know, it's like, oh, well, I thought you were this respectable person. You had on this turtleneck and long sleeve. I didn't see your ankles. I couldn't see any skin. You had gloves on, you know. Does that make me a more respectable person, or does that mean that I'm more worthy of, you know, I have more self-worth than the next person?
I mean, I don't. It wasn't just the clothing. It was also, like I said, the way you carry yourself. Like the way, when I say a person carry themselves, I mean mannerism. Like one of the things that I didn't necessarily like about a woman is if she cursed a lot or had a filthy mouth. Like for me, that was a turn. As a man, to me, that was a turn off. Like you're a woman, you're not supposed to be like using like foul language and just filthy, dirty mouth. To me, that was a turn off. But so I wouldn't use that. I wouldn't use that and say that you have no worth. But
that's just the first sign or the first impression, right?
Exactly. You know, like I've turned away. I mean, many women just because of I felt like they carry themselves, and it wasn't just the way what they were wearing. It was also like how they communicated. You know, how they express certain things. And I'm sure that if I had gotten to know them better, that my view of them might have changed, but that never happened, and I'm glad it didn't.
Yeah. You know? I mean, so like I was saying, like for guys, it's not the same. I can't just look at a guy and say, oh, well, you know, the way that he dresses, he has no self-respect, and so he's not going to respect me. But I want to go back to that dinner. So I'm sitting there, let's say it's me and you. This is our, like, I don't know, 5th date. And I'm sitting there with you and I'm like, okay, I have to tell him. I mean, I kind of have a little low self-esteem, and I have to tell him that, you know, I just want to be treated a certain way. I want to be treated like a lady. Because a lot of people don't get that, okay, well, the way she carries herself, a lot of people don't realize that, or they don't pay attention to the body language or pay attention to the nonverbal things. Sometimes people have to verbalize, like, I actually want to be talked to in this way. So you talk about your friend who had to tell her husband, you know, no yelling, no screaming when we, you know, try to have a heated discussion. Please, you know, I've been through some things in my past. So you and I are at this dinner and I'm saying, yeah, well, okay, I have a little bit of a low self-esteem, right? And I just need you to build me up. I'm looking for somebody to build me up. What would you think? Like, Would you think, oh, I gotta throw this girl away?
Nah, not at all. I think to an extent we all have low self-esteem, whether or not if we recognize it or not. So,
In certain areas?
Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't throw it away. I would probably, me personally, I would say, let's dissect that. You know, like where did it come from? You know, like how did that start? Because most of the time, one of the things that I believe about a lot of people is oftentimes they get into relationships with people and they don't know enough about their past. And I don't care who you are or where you come from, a person's past plays a big part about their future and who they are presently. And oftentimes, if you understand that past, you can actually go back and see where things went wrong, and even get counseling if necessary. You know, like Bay, this weekend, me and you we binged watched the Netflix series 7 Seconds. And for a lot of you guys that don't know, I don't want to go into details about it too much, but basically, it was a cop killed African American boy, but not in the traditional way. It was a hit and run where he hit him, and he kept it moving, But long story short, fast forward to the last episode or the second to the last episode, his all throughout the series, his wife kept saying, I don't really know you. I don't really know you. And there were things about his past that he hadn't shared with his wife. So finally, when he was on trial for hitting the young African American, it came out that he had been beat real bad. He was abused by his father, and that's where a lot of his
Anger.
I guess anger and things came from. But he never spoke about it, and also he was beat up by a African American kid when he was young. So that might have gave him a tainted perspective on African Americans. So during the trial that they were asking him, they were trying to say it was a hate crime, and they used his past to say, well, when you were young, you were beat up by some African Americans and they took your shoes, so maybe that experience left you somehow racist. So, it was a hate crime why you didn't check on him, see if he was okay, and why you kept going. So I say all that to say that his wife didn't find out until her husband was on trial about his past, as far as him being physically abused by his father, and I think it actually cost his mother her life at the hands of his father. So it's like, again, his wife, they had to be married for I would guesstimate for at least 2 to 5 years, and his wife never knew that about him.
Well, she kept saying throughout the series, but I know it's hard. But I know he would never do that. I know it's hard. And I kept saying, you can't know it's hard. He's been dealing with something and you're just going about life. It's not that you didn't stop to ask, but I don't think she stopped to ask.
Well, again, a lot of people fall into that trap in relationships. Like you wondering why your woman or your wife don't trust nobody. It's like, well, she probably grew up where her father was on drugs and used to steal stuff out of the house to get high. So it's like, if I can't trust my own father, who else? Who can I trust? So again, oftentimes people don't take enough time to dissect each other out of love, and wanting to be with them. They don't take enough time to dissect their past and see what issues happened in the past that may affect the present and the future. Because your past will affect your present and your future. It will, and you can lie to yourself and say, no, it won't. Yes, it will. Because psychologically, things that happen to us, whether it's trauma, it's a proven fact that when things happen to us that are so too much for us to handle, our minds become stuck at that age. So if something happened to a child at 5 years old, a part of their brain and their mind becomes stuck at 5 years old and they begin to shut out whatever happened to them that was very traumatic.
And they process like those series of events like a 5-year-old.
Yeah, even when they are an adult. So if you're wondering why you've been with a woman for 5-6 years and she don't trust you, it's like, well, if her past is that her father was a drug addict who sold food and things out of the house to get high, and she feels that if I can't trust my father, who can I trust? Yeah, you might want to investigate that or dissect that a little bit and to know that. And also, I think knowing that also helps the person to better show empathy or to better understand the person, you know? So, did that answer your question?
Yeah, yes, you answered my question. So I'm moving away from the table at dinner. Because I guess, you do have to bring it up or else you'll be like that couple in 7 seconds, like a couple years into your marriage and you're like, something came up and, what's going on with you? And I mean, and you don't even know, you're almost afraid and just kind of wondering like, what is going on in this person's mind? My thing with that is I might have missed it, but I always wondered, did his wife ask him what is going on? Oh, actually she did. I take that back. She did. And he finally told her, and you're right. It was at the 10th hour that he finally admitted what was going on. And then he started to dive into his past. And he brought up, I don't want to be a coward like my father. And so a lot of times we carry on things that our parents have done and, what we've seen them do or not do. And sometimes we don't realize it until we're in another situation, not similar to theirs, but just in another situation. I know someone a few years ago had told me, like, our problems is like holding down a beach ball underwater. And once you remove your hand from it, it's going to come back up.
So we try to, we inherently try to suppress it. That's what we try to do, but it ends up, it ends up coming out sooner or later anyway, Well,
especially with like things in life that come up, our everyday lives of paying the bills, pleasing the boss, or getting this task done at work, completing some things around the house. It's like, I'm boggled down with all of this. Children are stressing me out, So this right here from when I was 7 years old, that's not my concern. Yeah. And then when something comes up, it's just like that. Like it happens so quick. It's like, wait a minute, where are these feelings coming from? I thought I was upset about, this or upset about that. And then when you fail to have that conversation with the person you're living your life with.
Okay, so what are some ways that you can, I guess, effectively communicate your desires to be respected in your relationship or in your marriage? I mean, just from you as a woman, like what are some things that you can do?
Okay, what was the last part of your question?
What are some things that you can do as a woman to, I guess, to effectively communicate your worth and your desire to want to be respected, in your relationship or in your marriage? For just for the audience, just some practical ways that you are able to convey that.
Well, first, communicating what's on your heart. I will say that. So effective ways, just saying what's on your heart. I know oftentimes you come up to me and you're like, well, what's wrong? I'm like, there's nothing wrong. And then I sit and I think about it and I'm like, yeah, I'm actually upset about this. Or a time where I may have like lashed out at you out of worry or stress, not, lashing and beating, but, like
the whip.
No, there's no whips around here. But, maybe being a little snippy or short with you, then and I caught myself. It's like, you know what? I'm really upset that you're about to go to work and I want to spend a little bit more time with you. I'm sorry. I apologize. So going back and just really saying, this is what's going on. How about you?
Well, I know for me, I know when we got married, for me, it was, I think I struggled with, because I was always at work, and then when I was working, it was spending time with you, and I guess I kind of felt bad about saying like I just want a few moments to myself when I get home from work, I don't really want to be bothered. And, sometimes, you may think, well, that's kind of selfish. You've been at work all day. You've been at work for 10 hours and, you get home. But I think that a part of being in a long-term relationship with somebody is just like just being upfront and saying that. Cause like not everybody can get off work and go home and be like, hey, how you doing today, honey? How was your day? Like, no, some people just need the time to really just to kind of get out all the work stuff out of their mind and just kind of sit down a moment and just relax, have a glass of water or a glass of Kool-Aid or soda, or just be getting a kind of detox from the work day. And that was me. Like oftentimes, I think one of the things that I often tell you is that I'm not a morning person. So whenever we have to be somewhere early in the morning, most of the time I don't really communicate. I'll be quiet because I'm not a morning person. So I know for you, you're a morning person. You be like, hey, you want to talk? I'm like, nah, I don't really feel like talking right now.
So wait, pause. So by communicating that, there's an understanding that I'm not being disrespectful to you and I'm not belittling you or our time together.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm not a morning person. So I'm a little bit snippy.
Very snippy in the morning.
Yes, but apologetically, I just need a few moments to gather myself together before I can get into the conversation.
Yeah.
But that is communicated.
Yeah.
It's not, so when you see it, it's like, okay, I see that and I can't change you.
And it has to be okay, because you can't, well, I'm a morning person. And if it's like, well, I'm not you. I'm not a morning person,
Yeah, I get it. I understand. So, okay, we said that we're going to, or basically effectively communicating our needs as far as like, okay, I need you to stop talking to me. I'm not a morning person. But of course not being rude, but being real.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one. And then also, I think also too, just having the confidence in what you're saying, like believing in what you're saying. So not to say like, okay, I believe this so it's right, but I really think for me, I've been living this life for 26, 27 years. And so I believe that I'm really just not that type of person who responds well to that kind of tone. So maybe you and I both can work together on that tone.
Yeah, most definitely. A relationship, you should always be able to convey things that bother you. I say it like this: your relationship should always be a place of safety and safe haven. It should never be a place where I feel like I have to hide or run or not be home because I feel like at home it's very chaotic. That's never a type of relationship that you want to be in. And 9 times out of 10, if you're in that kind of relationship, then it's evidently that evidence that no one in the relationship is being valued. That's the first. You
said no one in the relationship is being valued.
Yeah.
Give me an example, please.
Well, there's a scripture in the Bible that speaks about not being a nagging wife. Mm-hmm. So even in the the I guess the old days, nagging is never a way to effectively communicate. In fact, nagging, I wouldn't even say it is a part of communicating. Nagging someone and saying, "Hey, well, you do this, you do that." If anything, it makes as a man, it makes us want to take overtime at the job, not want to come home. It's like I don't want to come home because there's no peace there. At least at work, I can go and be to myself, and after I do my work, what I'm saying, and it's peaceful. So oftentimes, one of the things that I realize about people is that if you're in a relationship where it's like your husband or boyfriend's never home, you might want to, evaluate yourself, and see what you're doing to push them out of the house, because most of the men that I know who are married, they're always home if they're not working, which lets me know that their wife creates a safe place and a safe environment for them so they don't feel like I have to leave my house or go sit in my car, at the 7-Eleven to have a peace of mind. I can sit in my own house because my wife creates that environment where I can have a peace of mind, and she doesn't nag me, Now if something is urgent or something needs to be brought to my attention, she does it, even if it's in a stern manner, but she don't just keep telling me about it all day, every day,
So on the other spectrum of that, you're saying the woman should create a safe haven for their husbands. But what about husbands? What are you guys doing? Because if we're nagging, most times we want something done that's like super serious and it's so important. It's on our top list. And I think that's where communication should really play a major role. It's like, okay, hey, I've been talking to you for about 3 weeks about this situation. And this is like top of my priority list. And I see it's not top of your priority list. And I'm not feeling like you're creating that safe space. And no, I know me. I can easily get into that. Well, this is what I do. And this is what's done. And you ain't even living up to that expectations. Sometimes I make the joke like, we don't live like this, But so for you as a husband, like what is your thing to also effectively have make the space open, what mentally, what are you thinking about to create that safe haven for us? Well, for us, but for your wife, for me.
Well, I know for me, I guess in the past when communicating, you said that I'm too loud. So just making sure that when we have a conversation, that my voice tone is soft and not loud. I mean, that's just practical, that's just one way. Or if you say you want to talk and I'm playing the Xbox or the PS4, I come to a saving point and I cut it off. So if you want to talk, like, hey, you say you want to talk. So, but what I do things to let you know that, okay, I'm hearing you, I heard you. Okay, like sometimes, in the past you've come to me, hey, I want to talk to you about something. Like, okay, well, right now, I'm playing a game. Let me get to a saving point, or let me beat this last boss. Give me about 5 or 10 minutes, you know what I'm saying? Or I'll ask you, well, can it wait? And you'll be like, well, how long? I'm like, well, can you get like 5 to 10 minutes? You're like, oh, yeah, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, at least I acknowledge that you have something to tell me, and I in haste, make time, make effort to whatever I'm doing to bring it to a halt, even if it's just temporary, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because most of the time, when we're done, I'll cut it back on and keep playing, and you're okay with that,
Yeah, but not just when you feel we're done, but when it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like we respectably came to a place where we feel like the conversation's over. Okay, I can move on. And I mean, I think even later, maybe in the day or the next day, I'm kind of like, so what did you think about how that conversation went? I know for me, I'm laughing because for me, I feel like for women in general, everything is so serious. Everything's top of the list, everything is major priority. It needs to be talked about right now, right here. And a part of that is it could just be who we are, not as women as a whole. But yeah. I've heard like some of my other, married friends say, no, I feel like I'm just a needy person. And that's okay. But expressing that to their spouse, I think that's okay too. So, okay, I'm going to go back to that dinner table right quick. So we're at the dinner table, just setting the scene for you one more time. So we're at the dinner table, and when we start talking about self-worth, I think also too, talking about our needs. That's what I'm thinking. I know when you and I started courting, I think we talked about our needs.
Yeah.
We talked about the type of person that we are and what we lack in. I think being open and honest about that from the get-go really made a huge difference in, our startup of marriage. It's like, okay, I feel like I'm a very needy person, but I think you had reassured me, no, that's not being needy, but that's just, your love language. You want time spent. You want that time spent with each other. And for us to cultivate like a actual relationship. Like you can't just say I love you and move on. And I felt like you communicated that to me as well. I can't just say I love you, we good for the day. Like one, I love you, a kiss, and okay, go about your day. Like your heart is settled. Your needs are satisfied. It's more so of, you know, we talk on the phone in between work or to and fro. We update each other about our days. Just, hey, what do you think about? Hey, I was just thinking about this. Like, even when I just leave the house, I'll call you and say, hey, you know what? What do you think about this? This just popped up in my head, right?
Yeah, yeah. Were you finished? I ain't want to cut you off.
That's effective communicating.
Well, you know, one of the things that I did want to say to our listeners and to our audience is that oftentimes, you know, we don't realize how much of our cultural things we bring into a relationship that actually are not good. It's kind of like you know, one of our friends has said that she was raised by her mom, and her mom was kind of woman, I don't need nothing from nobody, and that's just how I am. I'm an independent, strong woman. It's like, well, and that's okay if you're an independent woman. That's perfectly fine.
Like unattached.
You know, exactly. But when you begin to get into a relationship, and I think one of the things that oftentimes women who are independent don't realize is that I've heard women in TV shows or movies say, I don't need you. You know, it's like that's something you never tell a man, is that I don't need you, because he'll go out and find somebody who does need him. You know, but
wow.
my point being is that we bring a lot of our cultural things that we've learned growing up into a relationship, and rarely do we ever try to investigate or try to look up other positive or alternative ways. Like, well, let me ask somebody who is, I'll say, you know, or outside of the scope of reading the book, you know, which both of us did. But let me ask somebody who's white. Let me ask somebody who's Indian or who's Asian. How, you know, how things ran in their household, or just to get opposite culturally perspective of things. Oftentimes we bring things into a relationship that we learn culturally that are not good or bad, you know, and we just don't understand how that affects the dynamics of our relationship, you know. And it's good for us to be able to look at alternative ways to communicate. It's good to us to be able to look at alternative ways to talk to women. It's like, you know, if most of the Black culture, whether it's hip hop or reality TV, all they care about is women with big butts and big breasts and having sex. And it's like, but there's more to our culture than that, you know, and you actually can't begin to build a relationship with that as the foundation. It's like, yeah, I mean, you can get somebody to sleep with him, okay, but that doesn't build trust. That doesn't build confidence. That doesn't build worth. So how can I begin to what alternative ways can I begin to look at to begin to look at relationship building skills, you know, apart from the cultural things that I grew up observing or seeing or being a part of?
So, okay, if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying you wouldn't be able to get into a relationship with a one-sided perspective of life because you wouldn't value it if all you're seeing is this way of life. So if all I see is gangbangers on the street, I'm going to think that this is the only way of life that I have to live.
Yeah. Yeah. You know,
well, I mean, I guess there's, you know, there's dreamers and there's people who use their imagination and say there has to be something worth more than this. But for those who don't think that way, or, you know, they don't get it or don't even fathom moving out of the area that they grew up in, which could be terrible, it's almost like you can't expect someone to come into a relationship and know or understand or respect your self-worth if they hadn't experienced it or seen others who have effectively did that and effectively communicated that to their spouse.
Yeah. I mean, I agree, you know, and I think, and this is like kind of like a random thought apart from the topic, but I think oftentimes one of the things that people do is that they try to surround themselves with people who are like them. But my thing is, like, I can't learn from someone who's like me. I've always wanted to be a culturally rounded person, so I can learn from take other things from other cultures and bring it into my own life and learn from that. Like I can't learn from somebody who's like me. You know, and it's not saying that I can't be your friend, your brother, and love you and care for you, but I can't learn from somebody who's just like me. I'm sorry. I mean, if you're from where I'm from, I can't learn from you, you know? So I think that just being open culturally to other cultures and other things besides the everyday norm.
So I think you can learn from somebody like you, but it's limited. You know, it won't be, I think, okay, have your mother ever said this to you? Where it was like, you talking to your little friends, or you know, don't go to your little friends because they don't know nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being older, looking back on that time where my mother said that to me, I'm like, well, what she mean? My friends, I can talk to them. You know, they could be open with me. I can be open with them for whatever we were talking about in the 6th grade, right? And I'm like, she don't understand. She's much older. That's what I'm picturing when you're saying that. Like, you can't talk to your, I hate to say little friends, but you can't talk to your little friends. They don't know nothing. So someone who is at your same age, it's not like you can really learn too much from them unless their perspective was different, unless their perspective was different.
Well, upbringing was different.
Or upbringing was different. Okay, I see what you're saying. That's all we have for you here today on About This Love. To join the conversation, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Mixcloud, and Audio Mac at About This Love. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.